Good evening and welcome to virtual classes organized by Board of Studies Institute of Chartered Accountant of India. Intermediate level, paper 7B, Strategic Management. I am Anand Saxena. I shall be taking you to chapter 7 in the penultimate class today as we close this series of these classes, virtual coaching classes on Wednesday. If you may recall from our previous interaction on 26th March, functional syllabus strategy, we have some backlog to cover today. Along with it, of course, we shall be covering unit 7, that is on organization and strategic leadership. So let me see if there are any questions from our discussion until our last session before I proceed any further. Does CSR form part of marketing strategy? Corporate social responsibility is the responsibility not only of marketing. It is an overall, integral part of the business strategy. And if you may remember, we had seen that even the strategy evaluation may account for performance on the social responsibility front by the corporation, as we are talking about TBL and QBL. So therefore, CSR definitely permeates all functionalities, right? So I hope the issue is clear, and if the need be, we will kind of incorporate the discussion of CSR across the functionalities. Even for example, in the R&D functionality that we are going to take up today, and maybe that will further reinforce the point that I am trying to make. Okay, so moving on, we are to cover two more functionalities today, namely R&D and HR, because this is what we saw the other day. We have covered marketing, finance, production, operations, and obviously we did talk about logistics. And in today's session, for half an hour or so, I guess we shall be devoting to the backlog from chapter 6, this chapter, before moving on to the next chapter. R&D is an interesting domain of functioning, right? And in the businesses, usually it is applied research and development rather than theoretical research and development, which takes place in the educational space, right? And that is where probably industry academia interface becomes very important because the theoretical ideas generated in the or the basic inventions that take place in the laboratories may be put to commercial applications in the industry. So in this context, we will be taking up a research and development strategy. And if you may remember, as I had indicated the day before, that we will be looking at R&D strategy within the or as an integral aspect of knowledge management within an enterprise. So that will give us newer perspectives as far as understanding of the topic is concerned. Now, if you can see this infographic, I will try to enlarge it even further if I can. Here. So, of course, markets kind of provide a context in which the new needs and new problems emerge, which the firm needs to respond through its business R&D strategy, and thereby come out with the next generation of the price benefit, that is the value, matrix, right? And so in-house, the firm has to, ensure that its business strategy and R&D strategy and also intellectual property strategy moves in tandem. And the research themes, come not only from the markets, but also, through the cooperation among industry, government, and academia. And obviously, collaboration across the companies, and whether competing or not, is it not? So that is how a firm may try to move up in the value chain of research and development strategy. As I said, the business is more into applied research and development, and as is more popularly called, I will put it here, T&D, that is the design and development, ideas. One of my acquaintances is a designer, product designer, and he works for a prominent design company. And they have collaborated with Hamley. Hamley, is the global leader in toys, children's toys. And they have come out with some really good educational toys, into the market, after doing a lot of market research and interacting with the customers, and so on and so forth. So, one of the issues that, kind of emerges here is that, is research and technology, research and development a matter of technology, or is it about knowing, better and more, your market or customers? Steve Jobs, provides the founder of Apple, provides a cue to this, and I will see if I can play that video of Steve Jobs talking about the relative emphasis on technology and the customer experience for coming out with the next generation value propositions in the market. So let us see. I will be stopping to share this slide, and I'll be migrating to some other window to be able to play that video. Just a minute here, and let me see if I have my QuickTime window open. Yes, it is here. Share sound. Here it goes. The video may be blurred, but the audio quality is good. So I would like you to concentrate on what Steve Jobs is trying to say vis-a-vis the relative importance of customer experience or the market feedback in designing and developing, next generational value products for the markets. Controls, please ensure that the voice is reaching.
Yes.
Mr. Jobs, you're a bright and influential man.
Here it comes.
It's sad and clear that on several counts you've discussed, you don't know what you're talking about. I would like, for example, for you to express in clear terms how, say, Java, in any of its incarnations, addresses the ideas embodied in OpenDoc. And when you're finished with that, perhaps you could tell us what you personally have been doing for the last 7 years.
You can please some of the people some of the time, but one of the hardest things when you're trying to affect change is that people like this gentleman are right in some areas. I'm sure that there are some things OpenDoc does, probably even more that I'm not familiar with, that nothing else out there does. And I'm sure that you can make some demos, maybe a small commercial app that demonstrates those things. The hardest thing is, how does that fit in to a cohesive, larger vision that's going to allow you to sell $8 billion, $10 billion of product a year? And one of the things I've always found is that you've got to start with the customer experience and work backwards to the technology. You can't start with the technology and try to figure out where you're going to try to sell it. And I've made this mistake probably more than anybody else in this room. And I've got the scar tissue to prove it. And I know that it's the case. And as we have tried to come up with a strategy and a vision for Apple, it started with what incredible benefits can we give to the customer? Where can we take the customer? Not starting with, let's sit down with the engineers and figure out what awesome technology we have, and then how are we going to market that? And I think that's the right path to take.
So, as you would have seen in a short video, Steve Jobs makes a long, a very strong argument in terms of the emphasis on market, on customers, and moving backwards on the technology. And that's why we emphasize that much of the business R&D is applied R&D, and that's where the finer difference between in entrepreneurship literature, for example, we differentiate between invention and innovation. So businesses are more into innovation. That is the application of the inventions for the solution of the problems of the people, right? So so we need to keep this in mind. However, you would obviously appreciate that without the basic research, applied research is not possible, and that is where the industry has to cooperate with the academia. And that's why you will find most universities in US, for example, have funding by the corporations. They have set up research chairs, and even specialty and super specialty departments within the universities to bridge this gap between invention and innovation. So that's the first observation that we must make while we are referring to the R&D strategy, because as far as its mechanics are concerned, these are up there on your screen, so you can see how it all works. So that's the first thing that one would like to emphasize as far as the firm's R&D strategy is concerned. Secondly, I have got a research study or a case scenario from Yokogawa, a Japanese provider of industrial automation solutions. I have picked up this example, how this R&D is integrated into the corporate strategy. That is the hallmark of Yokogawa in a corporation. And in a way, this becomes a classical example of the linkage between the corporate strategy and the R&D strategy, as if it were. So we have already seen that the linkage between functional strategies and the corporate and business level strategy is not unilateral. That is the one providing the context of the other, but it is a bilateral process wherein the functional strategies provide a a feed forward to the business and corporate level strategy, and also directly contributes to firm's sustainable competitive advantage. Now, why I have chosen this particular example is, see how the idea of research and development is ingrained into the corporate philosophy, or how it is integrated with the corporate philosophy. So if you are thinking of a richer human society, richer in the sense of healthier, happier, more productive human society, and a society where people are taking to innovation and pioneering new initiatives. So therefore the Yokogawa links the whole idea of its R&D strategies, and it roots it in the corporate philosophy. And for example, and then it moves around through the various functionalities. For example, talking about the market trends, it says that while it is true that the developed countries are reaching the maturity stage and the substantial amount of growth is in the Asia Pacific, that is the developing nations, but then there is a seriousness of environmental issues, and we need to provide technological solutions to these sustainability issues, and also provide for a healthier interface between man and machine, and thereby contributing to human productivity, performance, and stability. Like technological environment, because R&D, the relevant environment of R&D, this we have been saying, that for each functionality there is a relevant environment. The relevant environment will be the technological trends, not in your industry, but across. For example, the trend towards artificial intelligence, trend towards digitization. These are pervasive trends that are impacting more or less all the businesses. So you have to have a kind of a system of interpreting the technological trends in terms of the challenges and opportunities that are posed before your business, is it not? So this, and then it talks about the more ubiquitous technological initiatives, wherein you are talking about high speed, large volume communications, issue of cyber security, right? And also the control over the information, the privacy, all these issues provide a kind of a context in which the R&D strategy of the firm is formulated to ensure that the firm is doing better than its competitors, because they are into solutions business, in providing solutions across the industries, right? So therefore, as we have been doing for all the functional areas, even while doing research and development strategies, we need to look at the environment as well as the external environment as well as the internal environment. This diagram, for of course, we move to HRM. No, I have tried to situate this in the context of knowledge management. Let me see if I can quickly come to the knowledge management, scenario here. I can't see the slides immediately. Just a minute. I think it is. It is here. Yeah, it is here. So what I was trying to say was that we can look at research and development management, as integrated with the knowledge management within the firm and also outside the firm, because the firm is partnering with the other firms, and also firm is making source of what is called use of open sources of innovation, wherein there is a community of practice, in respective domains, where people are independently doing a lot of work, and the company encourages its employees to be a part of a wider network of professionals who specialize in different domains of specialization, with a view to generating ideas for providing better solutions and service to the customers. As for the business level strategy, yesterday we saw, how, for example, across product life cycle, the focus of R&D strategy would vary, because at the introduction stage, the emphasis of the R&D would be on developing the new product. At the maturity stage, it will be focusing on cost rationalization, right, resource rationalization, and maybe if you are moving for a product reincarnation, maybe into the greening of the technology, and coming out with more environment friendly, ecologically friendly solutions for the clients or for the customers. So I think so much so for the R&D strategy. Let me see if there are any questions in this regard. Sorry. I think Mansha states it rightly, that the strategy should start with the customer needs. Absolutely. In fact, Peter Drucker has said, if at all there is a purpose of business, single purpose of business, it is about serving the customer needs, is it not? So not only that, it is also about leading the customers to the cleaner technologies, to the safer technologies, and that is where the interface between R&D strategy and the customers interplay. So going back to Steve Jobs, one would dare say that as much as you need to understand technology, I guess you need to understand the customers too, with a view to providing solutions to the problems that they experience or face. So that is it. So much so for the R&D strategy. And now we will try to catch up with the HR strategy, strategic HRM. I have already delved deeper into these ideas of functional level strategies and the strategic functionalities, right? So, and of course, this framework, you are already conversant that even the HR strategy will emerge or arise from an interaction between the firm's internal factors and the external factors. And as you can see in orange, letters, I have tried to capture the internal factors, impacting firms' human resources management, and of course the external factors. For example, one of the important external factors that we just mentioned with reference to research and development, we saw how the educational system and the industry academia partnership matters when it comes to firm's R&D capabilities. So there it comes, I mean to say, straight away as an important influence on the strategic HRM. And keeping this in mind, companies are fostering strategic partnerships with the educational institutions, including IITs, IIMs, even the lesser known management institutes. The other day, I saw a newspaper advertisement from Haryana government, wherein one of their universities, I think it is a skill development university, that has collaborated with a company for a course in German. And the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding between the university and the company, is that all the students who score over 70%, they will be picked up for internship and work within the company. Likewise, ICICI Bank had fostered a MOU with the university and a couple of other private universities too for the training and supply of human resources for banking services. So, and likewise, even the multinational corporations, Intel has set up chairs in IITs and fostering academia industry interface. So, and this issue, of course, is linked with the larger issue of human development and capital formation within a country. Now, what percentage of GDP, for example, is being spent on education, and how serious is the government in providing, affordable and quality education to its students, and whether, for example, it considers any expenditure on human development as an investment, rather than a burden on the exchequer, right? So here we have seen some contradictions in the in the political context in which the education takes place. And how good it is, what are the pitfalls? Of course, these are the issues that need to be explored. Then, of course, there is there's an issue also of how perfect is the human resource market, or market for the human resources. What is the extent of sectoral and spatial mobility of the human resources? Today, you know that the movement of human resources is not only from the developing world to the developed world. In fact, it is rather restricted. People go there, appointment and work visas. That's a different issue. But there are in every organization, you see that workforce is getting internationally diverse. So, and therefore the mobility of the workforce has been on rise. And the other issue is sectoral. Now, suppose I have worked in a particular industry, I am marketing manager, and suppose I have been into industrial marketing. Now the question is, how easy it is for me to migrate from industrial marketing to consumer marketing, for that matter, or from conventional marketing to digital marketing, and what kind of versatility, one gains, in the process to move and to enhance one's mobility across industries and obviously across spaces. So if you look at some of the internal factors, and we saw in Michael Porter's analysis, firm is competing not only in the product market, but also in the factor market, in the labor market too. And, gone are the days when, about people, one would say beggars are not choosers. Now, today, talented, individuals get job offers from, 3, 4 sources, right? Even during the campus placement. And now they have to make a choice which company to go. And therefore, the attractiveness of the organization as a place to work has become as strategic as its product profile in the product market space. So therefore, companies are now competing and vying with each other, for coveted best place to work, listings, and therefore they do highlight, why people should work for them. Is it not their competitors, and they try to kind of present themselves. And that's why in campuses it is pre-placement presentation that the companies make in order to attract the employees to their organizations. So likewise, the kind of work environment which is provided, and even the job design in terms of meaningful work and engaging work, all these things have become suddenly very important, so that firms' human resources become a source of sustainable competitive advantage to the firm. Let me see if there are any questions or observations in this regard. So Mansha provides, the screen is full of black side. Why is it? The controls, please ensure that my screen is properly shared. I will share it once again for greater clarity. Where are we? Oh, where is my slide? 28. This is where we are. Please tell me if you are able to see my slide properly, and as Mansha just mentioned, that the best place workplace is described by credibility, career care, and career growth. I will put it here, and of course, thank you, Mansha, for actively participating and enriching the classroom. Yeah, so the work environment, when we say the work culture, and what is the extent of organizational politics, what is the kind of championing behavior among the supervisors, and how democratic is the workspace, all these things matter. And as you can see, flexibility, learning, autonomy, participation, knowledge management, and fun. Work has to be as natural as play, I mean to say. And workplaces have to be very exciting places where employees look forward to coming every day rather than drag themselves to, to come. Look at Google offices, world over, how these are designed, and to look after, and as Mansha mentioned, to provide care for the employees. During the pandemic, we have seen HRM, went for a toss for very many organizations, but then there are certain organizations that outshone, and they actually lived up to their belief in the capability of the human resources, even to turn around bad times into good times. Is it not? So therefore, I had organized a an invited talk by an expert from HSBC, Hong Kong Shanghai Bank Corporation, in terms of what all they did, to be on the side of their employees during the pandemic, and to make their lives happier and more fulfilling and less stressful, as a result of the imposition of the lockdown and the compulsions of working from home, right? So, therefore, the we need to have as I said the other day, you know, I do not see any difference between HRM and SHRM, or marketing management or strategic marketing management or strategic management. But this word strategic is very critical. So the moment I impart it a strategic twist, or or an interpretation, the very notion, the fundamental notions of the subject matter undergo a change, and we are all of a sudden placed on higher order thinking, wherein we are looking at the ability of the firm to connect with its environment and to generate better performance by whatever yardstick. If profitability is the yardstick, then above average profitability, and if it is sustainability, then the above average sustainability. So that is the I think the beauty of the incorporation of the idea of strategic thinking behind any subject, for that matter. So I hope it clarifies you with certain perspectives on HRM. And you see, if you look at the functionalities, functionalities remain the same. You're right from your class 12 staffing, or your BCom honors personal management, or a human resource management, or so on. But the way you will look at these functionalities, it is drastic. Work has ceased to be a place, right? And the human resources are ultra mobile, kind of resources. They can work from wherever and whenever, I mean to say. So that kind of culture is emerging, which is empowering, enabling, engaging, enchanting, and exciting, for the people. The whole idea can be, not only, emphasized at the micro level, but also at the macro level. Now, for example, look at the infographic on your screens now. Now, this infographic links up the micro and the macro aspects of human development, and the firm's performance and the performance of the economy as a whole. And as you can see, one has introduced the channels both on the demand side as well as the supply side of the human resources. Money that the government's expenditure on education and health, firms' investment on human resources, their HR orientation and practices, and even the household investment on education and health of their children. This contributes towards the GDP and firms' income and national and organizational wellness and happiness, which in turn leads to human development. And a virtuous cycle is created, because human development ultimately is about expansion in human capabilities, creative, generative, and innovative competencies, ideas of compassion and meaningfulness. And this has to kind of permeate through domestic governance, business capabilities, family, community, and society. So, that is where, even at the national level, and at the corporation level, and even at the family level, we need to understand the importance of human resources, and therefore, and incorporate that realization into our child rearing practices, into our educational systems, and and also the work cultures. I think so much so for the backlog, I have taken about 40 minutes of today's class to catch up with the backlog. That means virtually I would be left with, 1.5 hours or so, maybe 1 hour or 40 minutes or so to catch up with the emerging unit. So, but before I do that, let me see if there are any questions or observations from you. Okay, good. I'm happy that you are some black spaces occupying in the top right side. Yeah, this is the ICAI boss thing. So it is not, this is the controls, not mine. Nandishwaran, I can get your point. Controls, please ensure that when we are broadcasting it, the slides and the speaker are shown and nothing else, because that distracts our learners, from making sense of what is going on. Good. We are now proceeding to this chapter on organizational and strategic leadership. And as you can see, this chapter focuses on 4 themes. One is the organizational structure and the organizational leadership and culture, and then entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship, which I will also consider it as a part of the culture. In a way, if I were to look at the organizational performance, let me see if I can quickly get onto my symbols. Yes. Yeah. Essentially, what is meant here in the story in the chapter is this. Okay, I can put it like this. Wait a minute. Okay, so what is meant here is the organizational strategy structure and culture. These need to be in tandem with each other before we are in a position to let me see if we can get a shooting. Okay, just a minute. The target. Okay, I put it here. Yeah. Before we can achieve the quadruple or TBL goals, right? So strategy, structure, and culture have to be in sync with each other, and that is why this particular chapter. Also, another aspect or another story that emerges from it is that the structure and culture are the implementing vehicles of strategy. That's another part, of the story. What I'm trying to say, in a way, is this. I will use the same diagram. So, the structure. And culture they are the means of realizing the corporate strategy. And oh, I have moved it from there. I should not have done that. Just a minute. Okay, now I can't help because I have changed it. This and this. So I can use the figure in a variety of ways, and the story you should be able to kind of decipher from the point that one is trying to make, right? So yeah, yes, yes, right. Now this you will find more appealing, to you because and so the organizational structure and culture are a means of implementing strategy, or which in turn is the means of attaining the organizational thing. And along with this, the other vehicle that we did the other day was functional strategies. Functional strategies. So there are ways of representing the ideations. And your chapter does some good work here, and I will be showing you how. So therefore, my rest of the discussion is divided into three, four segments. One is, unraveling the story of organizational structures. The other is the story of organizational culture, and along with it, leadership, strategic change. This is called strategy. Shall I say it here? For superlative performance, right? So my further discussion is going to be organized like this. Are there any questions? Yeah, Nandishwaran, I think I have told the controls. I'm sure things will be better now. Okay. I begin with the story on the organizational structures. Of course, your chapter, contains, for example, the various types of structures, and divisional structure and functional structure, and so on and so forth. I think the key point to understand and the story that emerges is this. This is the key message to understand. that organizational structure and strategy, the relationship between organizational structure and strategy is like this, that at times these structural characteristics pose certain administrative problems, and as a result, organizational performance declines, and there's a trigger for the development of a new structure. I will narrate this story through, if I can quickly lay a hand on the Greener's theory. Let me see if I have the image here. Wait a minute. Let me situate this discussion in a beautiful framework called evolution and revolutions as the management grows, as the business grows. So, evolution. I do a story on organization structures, but that takes a very long time. So I will be cutting it short here, and I will bring in the original diagram here of Greener's theory. Just a minute. Give me a minute's time, and you know. Yeah, here it is. Oh, the diagram is not high definition. It's not a high definition diagram. Let me see if I can a high definition diagram quickly for your benefit. I had in my system, but then it's not showing it immediately. Let me see if this serves the purpose. Oh, just a minute. Structure story. Kindly bear for a minute. I am just digging out the thing for you, because that will provide you with a dynamic kind of a story out of this. Even if it does not arrive, you need to understand that again, organization structure is needed not for its own sake, but for the sake of attainment of strategic objectives. So that's the point that we should be very clear, from the word go, is it not? Yeah, I have been able to get the diagram now. Just a minute. Okay. What is this? It's not a very neat diagram, but I think it will still serve the purpose. Here. We are here. I will remove this. I will remove this and bring it in over here. Yeah, I think it is a much clearer diagram, as you can see. Most organizations start small, and they begin with the simple structure, wherein the entrepreneur is the boss, and there are some paid assistants who help him to, to do work, right? And they do whatever work the entrepreneur assigns to them. So, and essentially, business growth occurs through the entrepreneurial creativity, But when the business has grown to a size, now the entrepreneur has to move from being an entrepreneur, to becoming a leader, and to put in place functional specialists, marketing, HR, and that's where from a simple structure emerges a functional structure. Now that is the kind of an argument that one is trying to build. Why I am building this argument? Because the relationship between strategy and structure is posed as a is problematized in the sense that the administrative problems arising from the organizational structure, they stent the organizational performance, and these need to be corrected, and maybe newer structural forms need to be worked upon so that these problems are resolved and the organizational performance improves. Now, so what is new here? So in the conventional theory of firm, the newness here is the business growth. For example, business growth is taken as a proxy of the interface between the firm and its organizational structure, right? So the change in the environment, therefore, is essentially the change in the is captured by the growth of the business. That is the point that the entire theory of growth of the firm, starting from the works of Penrose. It's a very interesting area. I like to discuss it a lot, but however, of course, the time permitting, I just have to bring you face to face how different organizational structures emerge. We look at organizational structures as functional, simple, functional, divisional. We compare them merits and demerits. So we presume that a particular organization has a functional structure and other is the divisional structure. When will it happen? So we are looking it as spatially. Spatially means cross-sectionally. But what happens also is that the organization structure evolves, and how flexible is the organization structure has been a matter of huge debate in the strategic management literature. There is one side, of the argument that says the structure is rigid, it is difficult to change, and as a result, implementation of strategy will be adversely impacted, and the other argument says, and the kind of argument your book takes, is that structures are malleable, meaning they can be changed, and they can be, fit. They can be put to fit with the strategy. So this dynamism occurs, as I said, along with the organizational growth, and this organizational growth brings forth along with it certain administrative problems, and these problems are tried to be resolved through the improvement in the organizational structures or to the emergence of the organizational structures. This is the point that I am trying to make. And the moment you understand this point, the variety of organizational structures that are there in for example in your study material, they become very easy to comprehend for you. Before I continue with this story, let me see if there are any questions or queries of yours on this regard. Whether these linkages are backward or forward, I would say iterative. These are iterative, linkages. I can call it double loop. At times the structural, issues affect the strategy, and the strategy affects the structure. So it happens this way. So what I have done is that instead of using the diagrams that your book has, I have summed the entire debate in just 2 or 3 slides by taking up inputs from Whelan and Hunger on strategic management. So I have taken up those diagrams to quickly, talk about the organizational structures, right? And here I am. So the simple structure: owner, manager. There are workers. We just saw as the organizational growth happens, you need to dichotomize, functionalities, right? So a functional structure emerges, right? There may be some division of labor even in one, as you can see, but that division of labor is not followed by specialization. That means an owner and manager may say, okay, you will do the bank work and you will look after production and you will do the cooking. For example, if you are a restaurant, you will do the service. But yet this work has not, there's a division of labor, but there's no corresponding specialization. But as the business complexities grow, you need to put in specialists at place, and that is where a functional structure emerges. Now, what happens is that when you diversify your business, you begin to understand that these functionalities acquire peculiarities across divisions, right? So the divisional structure, emerges, and there can be a product division, there can be a geography division, and there can be a customer division, for example, and each division has a specific, its own, functionalities. So that. And in this context, your textbook talks about the SPU division also. As far as I am concerned, the difference between a divisional structure and a SBU divisional structure is in terms of the strategic importance of the division. So nothing less, nothing more. So we can close this, argumentation and then see. This is a class 12, depiction of, various forms of business or various forms of organizational structures. And, for example, one of the limitations of the divisional structure was stated to be the duplication or the multiplication of the functionalities, because each division is having manufacturing, sales, finance, HR. And there's a duplication or a multiplication of functionalities, which adds to the cost of management and therefore brings down the margins, erodes the profitability, right? So, organizational thinkers thought through this and came with the hybrid between functional and divisional. So what I'm trying to say is that there was a need for hybridization between the functional and the divisional structures to arrive at matrix structure. So here is the matrix structure, right? So what is the advantage of the hybridization? That the negatives of each are taken care of, because these functionalities now need not be multiple. So they will be allocated on need base across projects, across the various projects. So the matrix structure obviates the need for multiple functionalities across each and every division. So, and each division can, look at or ask for the manufacturing, sales, or finance resources as per the need. And the argument is that not all the functionalities would need all the functionalities at all the times. That is the point, and that is where you are and thereby reduce your competitiveness. I would be very happy if you can quickly tell me by acknowledging it on the question portal that you are absolutely home as far as depiction of the organizational structures from simple to functional to divisional to matrix is concerned. Yeah, I would like to, Nandishwan, I will see it and then forward it to the controls. Please see that there is a there is a problem in viewing the thing on YouTube because there's some black area in the broadcast. Please ensure that what is visible is the speaker and the screen that the speaker is sharing. Kindly ensure that, please. Any questions? Oh, no doubts. I'm very happy that you are following the discussion, and you have been super quick in grasping it. So that makes my job rather easy. As I move to this, the network structure. Here the problem is this, that even though you have minimized the cost of the functionalities by ensuring that they are allocated to the different businesses, yet you have to have these resources. And what if I may kind of outsource all these resources, and I hire them as per need, rather than putting them on my payroll and incurring my fixed costs. No, so that is the point. Yeah. Okay. And another issue, the learners have been telling me, is that there is some black area coming up in the in the money now. Huh. Okay. Achha, it is on the side, huh? No, what I mean to say is that when suppose they will see it subsequently, will that black area come, or will they just be showing my slides and my myself speaking? Yeah, controls. Okay. Okay. Because what the learners are telling me, that the screen size is marked by a black portion. Okay, okay, perfect. So over broadcast is fine, therefore, huh? Okay, perfect. I hope learners, you have taken cognizance of the fact that as far as we are concerned, we are going fine. And from here, what is being broadcast is the slides that I'm showing, and of course the speaker, that is myself, who's talking to you. So what has happened is that now you need not, you can call these resources on demand, rather than hiring these resources on monthly payroll or something like that, and thereby increase your fixed cost. So that imparts lots of flexibility and economy to the organization, and the overall cost of kind of management comes in. Over a mobile phone, you can call all the resources. So therefore, what you can do is you can manage tens and twenties of construction projects and film projects over telephone, by calling for whatever resources are needed. In certain resources you might be needing JCBs, in certain other resources you might be needing a lot of concrete or iron and steel, and some projects there might be shuttering taking place, some place their foundation is taking place, some places there is finishing and the interiors are happening. So what you can do is that you can do a lot of business with less of investment. Now that is the beauty of the network structures, and you convert these network structures into a virtual space. This becomes a virtual organization. So here is the story from basic organization structure in the physical world to the virtual organization that I was talking about. And just to complete this story, look at Facebook's organizational structure and the ecosystem of app and web applications of Facebook. And as you can see, the figure goes in millions, right? And therefore, what you can see is this, that there are a million of developers, using, you know, um, developing the content for Facebook, and lots of businesses putting their content, and individuals are there are various apps based on the individuals. You can see Candy Crush, SlideShare, and so on. So nowadays, that Facebook even allows Facebook Live, especially in the post-pandemic. So all these things uh, are happening over the network, over the virtual network. So an organization has now become virtual space rather than a physical space where the production process is happening. So this is in sync with the industry 4.0, wherein work from anywhere and anytime has become the what you call hallmark of the workforce today. So what appears is this, therefore, that an organization can seamlessly move from one structure to another in coping with the challenges and opportunities it is experiencing in its internal functioning, as well as from the external pressures. But dears, we have seen that in practice, it actually does not happen, and the organizational rigidities cause a lot of organizational decays. And Therefore, the seamlessness with which the organizational transitions are managed is always fraught with lots of qualifications and reservations. That is the point that I would like to make. Let me see if there are any questions on the organizational structure. Okay. By going virtual, functionality will increase. Shubhata, yes, you are right, absolutely. But as I said, organizational transitions are difficult to manage. I am looking at, for example, even the digital transformation within the university system. We have had very difficult times in moving from the offline to the online teaching and examination modes. And the challenges have been too formidable. And the bigger issue of this is that the seamlessness is contingent upon the macro technological context. Because suppose even if my transmission is good, but your reception is bad, then the effectiveness of the process would be adversely impacted. So I hope that this story about the structures is kind of clear to you all, and we are now poised to move to the next phase of our discussion, that is about the culture and leadership issues with respect to strategy implementation. And that's where I would like to take a break, and I would like you to reflect upon whatever we have discussed, and raise any queries that might come to your minds, so that our learning process is as seamless as far as possible. Controls, I am taking a break here, and we'll be returning at it is, I think, 7:15. We'll be coming back at 7:25 to resume the cultural and the leadership aspect of strategy implementation in sync with the requirements of Chapter 7. Welcome back. Okay, we have got two important questions in the question panel. One is by Uma Vasudeva Rao, difference between divisional and multi-divisional structures. As the name suggests, there are various bases of divisionalization. For example, I might divisionalize on the basis of geographies, right? Or I might divisionalize on the basis of product categories, right? If I am an organization that needs to divisionalize both, on several criterion, geographies and divisional. For example, the example of Japanese company that I took in the course of my session. So if they are into automation solutions across various industries, they are providing these solutions across different geographies also. So depending upon the kind of business environment they are facing, apart from a geography business, for example, Asia or maybe Europe or America, for example, they may also have within the Asia power sector and also IT sector, or even the transport sector, energy sector, right? So what they are doing is that they are using multi-divisional criteria for the design of their organizational structure. So I hope, Uma, my response adequately attends to your query. Mansha, complex organizational functions. I would define a complex organizational function as the one that necessitates specialization, right? So for this, we have to move from the simple structure where there is division of labor, but there's no specialization, to a functional structure where there is a greater specialization. I hope, Mansha, it is clear. I have emphasized that even in a simple organizational structure, an entrepreneur may divide the work among people, fine. But that division of work is not accompanied by specialization. The moment division of work is accompanied by specialization, a functional structure emerges. So I hope now, if this question comes in the exam, you will be in a better position to attempt it. Yeah, any responses or any further queries on the organizational structures? Okay, I will presume, and I will take up the questions as and when I have. Of course, as you can see on the outset of your study material and your screen, if I could slightly enhance it. No. Maybe it is better now. Your study material also talks about hourglass structure. This type of structure, what it shows is this, that the middle layer of the organization is gradually disappearing. So you have people people at the top, and maybe you have the people at the bottom. But the middle level management, that means there is a direct supervision from the top of the lower level of management. This is called, also flattening of the organization structures. And in fact, from Hourglass, we are further flattening our organization structures, where the organization structures comprise only professionals specializing in different domains, and they all are at the equal level. So the hierarchies are, giving way to the flatter, and a more democratic organizational structures. To my mind, this idea of Hourglass is more to emphasize the gradual and but definite flattening of the organization structure, where hierarchies are paving way to more egalitarian, more equal workspaces. This slide is good, which compares, the old and the new organizational designs, and as you can see that, we are moving towards a modular, flexible organization structures. We are moving away from hierarchies to more democratic, autonomous, self-performing teams. So I think this table does some good in terms of capturing some of the paradigm shifts in the way organizations are managed today. Yeah, Mansha, I would not attribute it to COVID only. In general, to reduce the cost of management, companies are dispensing with the middle level. And moreover, what happens is that the communication is, rather freed, because when it passes through layers, then there is a loss of communication. And to expedite the communication process within the firm, I think it is about delayering of the organizations, right? Time for me to shift. So far we have covered two important stages as far as today's session is concerned. One, we have covered the backlog from the previous session on R&D strategy and HR strategy, that is from the functional strategy. And we have also moved towards structure, culture, and leadership, and so on. So we have posited these, as the different, the moving in tandem, movement in tandem of the strategy, structure, and culture. And of course, I have also, drawn your attention to the more common interpretation of the structure, culture, and also the functional level strategies as a means of implementing the business and the corporate level strategy towards attaining the objectives. So you can configure these relationships in very many ways. So I am moving to the next phase of strategic change, because whenever strategic implementation by definition requires change. Once you have decided to expand, diversify, so you have to bring about a change. So all those issues of change management, if you have studied a paper on organizational behavior, and within that you have studied change management process, then all those elements of change management become applicable here. So what I will be doing in my slides, to cut the matter short, I will be combining the change management along with the leadership, and I will be introducing you to the idea of OT, organizational transformation, and transformational leadership. So these ideas I will combine together to knit a story around how strategy implementation may take place, in the organizations. Before I do that, let me have another look at the question template. Okay. good that we are up to date as far as taking to the queries are concerned. Hmm. Strategic. The topic, of course, is segregated in your study material. So strategic leadership comes separately as an element of change. So I will be, of course, talking along these lines also, but I will be integrating these dimensions too. And as I said, I will be focusing on, yeah, 2 and 3, strategic leadership and strategy supporting culture as a means of strategy implementation. This is how I will be integrating 2 and 3, and in a way, I will also integrate 4 in between, or maybe separately to this. But to ensure the flow of the discussion of the this particular session, I will both look at the components and how together they fit in the process. The leadership, the role of leadership in not only strategy formulation but in strategy implementation. That is what is the need of the hour, and if you look at your study material, it talks about or dichotomizes between transformational and transactional leadership. So I will be talking about the role of leadership in strategy implementation, in organizational transformation, and some important slides. I would suggest that you simultaneously take the screenshots, and preserve it in your system statically and incorporate it in your notes, because that will help you. How these parts I am going to weave together into a story. This is what you need to particularly focus. But first, I will talk about the parts. For example, you will come across questions on transactional versus transformational leadership, right? And as you can see that the transactional leadership occurs when when the person taking the initiative, enters into a contract with others, that you do this for me, and in exchange I will give you this, right? And encourages compliance by the followers by making conditional and contingent rewards, and of course, ensuring the sanctions. Organizational sanctions against deviations from the performance. In this context, for example, the transformational leader, differs in the sense that rather than getting into this exchange relationship with the followers, to say, it provides a sense of mission and uses personal charisma to exert an influence over the people, and inspires them to contribute massively towards the organizational performance, encourages them to think creatively, to provide innovative solutions, and contributes to the development of the individual. In a way, he narrows the difference between organizational performance and the individual performance, organizational superiority and the individual superiority. So, and why it is needed? Because a strategic change, whenever you have chosen a strategy, it will require the people to to do new things, to give up the old ways of doing the things. And of course, why you are taking recourse to the new things? Because you want to come out of the average performance syndrome to an above average kind of a virtue cycle. So these two slides, which talk about the dichotomy between transactional and transformational leadership, they help you negotiate with the exam questions that are dichotomous in nature. This particular slide is integrative in the sense that it categorically tells you how transformational leadership brings a difference. As you can see in the red letters, the transactional leadership via management by exception and contingent reward, yes, leads to certain expected outcomes, but transformational leadership through 4 I's, you can see on the top panel: idealized influence, individualized consideration, inspirational motivation, and intellectual stimulation, brings performance beyond expectations. So the impact of a transformational leader is multiplicative and exponential when it comes to organizational performance. Right. For example, Jack Welch of GE is regarded as a CEO that brought about transformative changes in the General Electric company and its fortunes. Right. So wherever organizations have been catapulted into a higher level of performance from existing trap of low performance, low productivity, I think the credit invariably goes to the leaders that have a transformational impact. If the dichotomy between transformational and transactional leadership is clear, I would like to spend next 10 minutes or so on the elements of this transformational leadership and situate it in the context of organizational transformation necessitated by strategic choices or the change. Let me see if there are any questions. So keep writing back that you are following it, you are following me, and you are getting the concepts right, and so that I also keep getting the feedback about your understanding and my contribution towards the development of that. Okay. So my next 10 minutes will be a kind of a capsule on leadership theory, and particularly the transformational leadership. And you will see the sense that it makes, and probably in your own minds you will develop associative learning by invoking the experiences that you have had. I'm sure you would have had some kind of internship or something like that, and you would have seen your boss or your immediate leader, how he or she, for example, has contributed to your emergence as a sound professional. The idea is that the transformational leadership, leads by example. So they say a leader knows the way, treats the way, shows the way. Is it not? So that is the idealized influence a leader exerts, and rather than doing a carrot and stick, it really encourages the people to give in their blood and sweat. For the performance, because they identify with the organizational vision so strongly that they want to contribute towards it, and in their contribution they see their own success rather than the success of somebody else, right? And it constantly exhorts them to think. A leader is not the one, a teacher is not the one who provides answers to the learners. I think a good teacher and a good leader is the one who inspires the people to discover, to develop their own solutions. Is it not? And of course, in the process, he does the mentoring and the counseling as the need may arise, as far as the and transformational process is bilateral. In facilitating you, I also get facilitated. In developing you, I also develop myself. That's the kind of transformative process that the leadership kind of follows. And therefore, in this transformative process, the role of the leader is critical, fine, but the role of the followers in the literal sense is also very, very important, because we have seen that leadership effectiveness is a function of the leader, the follower, and the situation in which the leadership influence is exerted. Now, this particular slide is very important in terms of the role of the followers. The followers who are keen on adopting and participating in the transformation process, and take up the challenges as they arise, and serve beyond the 9 to 5 kind of clock watching, and are willing to challenge the leadership also, because their stake is in the organizational performance rather than doing lip service to the leader. And of course, if they are not listened to, if their ideas are not appreciated, they will quit the organization. And you know that when the IBM refused to hear the idea of a desktop or a laptop computer, then people left the organization, and rest is the story. How the notion of a computer from a supercomputer, being located in a huge room, to its narrowing down to a laptop or even a palm top, has revolutionized the way people work. Is it not? Or people learn, for that matter. So, the effective learners, effective followers make their leaders redundant. So they are not sheep, is it not? They are not just people, right? And they do not simply withdraw once they are not listened to, but they proactively engage with the leader in bringing about an improvement in organizational performance. So therefore, good followership and good leadership, they are in a synergistic relationship with each other. And as you can see, Mansha keeps on adding the content on the thing, and that adds to my effectiveness, as a learning facilitator, right? So good followers reduce the leadership weaknesses, and good leadership maximizes the follower strengths, with a view to evolving continuously, improving teamwork, in the organization. So as I said, the strategy would necessitate change, and change creates its own anxieties and fears of failures, and their organization is always in the danger of going into the valley of death. But it is through the transformative process of redirecting the emotional energy of the people, the transformational leaders make change very smooth. It appear very smooth and friction free, despite the oddities of time. Is it not? So therefore, the strategic change, usually involves organizational transformation. And in organizational transformation, I think 4 or 5 things occur simultaneously, which I have captured in the form of 5 R's, that you have to think of a new future, new mental model. You might have to restructure the organization. You have to re-engineer the business processes, and you have to really kind of forge new relationships with the environment, and therefore renew the organizational soul. So in bringing about this organizational transformation, which can be captured in these 5 R's, the transformational leadership, which can be captured in 4 I's, play. Now you have to tell me very categorically in terms of your responses on the question plane, whether you can see the relationship between the 5 R's and the 4 I's that I have brought to your consciousness and awareness, and whether you can now mentally connect with these elements of strategic change and leadership that is required in the process. Please take your time. If you have any queries, please ask your questions before we proceed any further. Yeah, any question or any query that you might be having. And honestly speaking, if you have been able to connect with these 5 R's and 4 I's in such a brief kind of a capsule from me, hats off to your attentiveness and your own background in the subject, because these are complex relationships to understand. So really impressed with the way you have shaped as far as your responses to the to my interventions and suggestions goes. Once again, if there is any question. Awesome, awesome, good. Yeah, mental models need to be changed because there are paradigm shifts. It's not a small tinkering here and there. You have to shift. For example, when the moment you talk from offline to online, it is a paradigm shift. So lots of changes have to happen. People will find lots of difficulty, in negotiating with online, for example, teaching and learning. And you have to really handhold them. You have to keep giving them the confidence you can do it. Otherwise, the whole system will come crashing down, is it not? Besides, you have to keep telling them that, look, you have to find your personal balance between offline and offline, to overcome the fatigue and to stay focused and to harness your energies for superlative performance, right? So this is that's where a transformative process we are in. You are averting those drift into the valley of death, into the flight towards above average performance. A leadership has to engage in a transformative process with the followers, and both reader is learning and the followers are learning. So it is like this. The beautiful idea about learning is that knowledge concentration, it goes against the principle of knowledge concentration. It's not that knowledge is concentrated at one place and it has to flow from one place to the other places. No, it's a bilateral and a mutually transformative process through which the leaders engage with their followers in bringing about a strategic change in their respective organizations. So in the process, they will coax, they will cajole, they will exhort the people, to wherever they are complacent, they will shake them up. Wherever they are anxious, they will try to overcome their anxiety. Wherever they are lacking, They will support it with learning and training and development. And that is how, through individualized consideration and intellectual stimulation, they are able to lead the people to superior performance for themselves as well as for the organizations of which they are a part. Let me see. We are nearing 8 o'clock, and that is because of slight worry. But nevertheless, I will, integrate the ideas, for your effective learning. So, the power of the leadership is not, the example of power, but the power of example. So that is. These are the golden words. You know that Biden and Kamala Harris narrated upon getting elected as the president and the vice president, respectively, of the United States of America. And therefore, transformational leaders actually are the leaders by example, is it not? So, so much so for this. There's more to leadership, which I will defer, for some time, and I think I should try to move towards, organizational culture, because the founders and the top-level managers, they exert a lot of influence on the organizational culture. And you know that this organizational culture is created and developed, the process of interaction and socialization. And you know that the organizational culture, is the collective mind of the organization, and is simply defined as the way things are done with attention to detail, quality, professionalism. So now, how these issues, customer service, customer first, now how these things become, a matter of reflex nature of the organizational participants. The credit for this goes to the cultivation of an organizational culture through a conscious process of interaction and socialization. And you know that this culture becomes an important lever of strategy implementation. There's a book, Culture Eats Strategy for Lunch, because very many strategies fail. And, I had talked this in the context of mergers and acquisition, especially international mergers and acquisitions. Why more than two-thirds of the mergers and acquisitions fail. In fact, why even more than two-thirds of the strategic change initiatives fail is that maybe attributable for the cultures. You see, organizational structure, you may still change because it is a mechanistic, phenomenon. But culture is a behavioral phenomenon. How do you change people's behavior? How do you change people's belief system? That is a challenge for the leaders, and that is why the leaders are needed. To enable the people to question their own belief systems and to embrace the new ways of doing the things, and seeing the necessity of change. And you know that you cannot color the ice. You have to, engage the people in a process of change, of unfreezing, what you call changing and refreezing, to talk about Kurt Levin's, process of change. So if you've done a paper on organizational behavior, organizational change, and the role of leadership in this regard, and for sure that how the cultural change and cultural transformation is the most difficult transformation to bring about in any setting or in any organization. Okay, Shubha, thank you so much. You are getting the concept, and that is very important because you know one has to compress so many ideas in a capsule form, and provide with the linkages that are inherent, but they apparently seem to lack in the chapter scheme or in the uh, you know uh, in the piecemeal approach to studying a particular chapter. So now that we can really see the role of culture in the uh, this is a beautiful infographic that links the strategy and culture and organizational performance. So leadership comes in as a mediating variable, right? So how the leadership that especially of transformational nature bring about a cultural transformation for the superior performance. Now, for example, when Ursula Burns joined Xerox Corporation, she said that uh, uh, the corporation was caught in a very peculiar type of culture, family type of a culture. It is one cliche to say our organization is like a family. Fine, but question is that as family members, are you going to critique each other or not? Are you going to encourage each other to improve upon existing ways of doing the things or not? Or are you going to ignore these aspects for the sake of managing the harmony in the family? Right. So she brought about a culture of question in the organization, so that the Xerox Corporation emerged from a complacent firm which was thriving on its market share of the copiers into a big documentation solution firm over the period of her tenure. Right. So therefore, the leadership at the helm really, wakes up the organization from its somberness or sleep towards a higher order of performance. So likewise, you would have found that your mentor in your chartered accountancy firm, how he or she challenges you to take up newer assignments, complex assignments, and enables you to go through these, and in the process, develop your perspectives and insights, into your profession, right? So that is what is important. So here at this stage of the class, when it is already we are already past 8 o'clock, I move to the next and the final element of this particular class, and that is through the culture of entrepreneurship within the firm. So as you would have seen that how I have integrated stage 2 and 3 of this particular chapter, namely strategic leadership and strategy supportive culture, and how I am using this linkage between 2 and 3 to arrive at 4, that is the notion of organizational entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship. Before I do that, let me see if there are any questions or observations. Yeah, Shubrata, you are very correct that ethical culture is important, and that is where the ethical leadership is important. And this leadership has to come by example. If I am unethical and I'm expecting my followers to be ethical, this is hypocrisy, is it not? And if I say that I am ethical, I do not bother about what others are doing, then it is a passive leadership. Not only that I have to be ethical, but I have to forge this ethicality in organization-wide behaviors, so that my organization is known for its ethical conduct, and therefore has legitimacy in the environments, in the communities in which it operates, earns their respect and support, even in difficult times. So absolutely spot on, Subrata, when you say that organization culture that embraces ethical behavior will perform well in the long run. Good job, Subrata, in making this observation. And I'm sure now you can think of a matrix of ethical leadership and ethical followership, and where hypocrisy comes in, and where passive leadership comes in, and where the active leadership comes in, right? So that is it. The last phase of today's session that we are entering is fostering a culture of entrepreneurship. I have got certain case studies, so I will straight away talk about the case studies and then develop a framework around the discussion that so far. Now, for example, this is last week's information for your reference. Uber has spun off its Postmates delivery operation into a startup. Uber had diversified into robotic-based delivery system in the food, grocery, and other systems, other deliveries without human intervention. But in order to focus on its, cab thing, a movement of people, what it has done is that it has kind of promoted a new startup, in the process. So this is corporate entrepreneurship, right? This Xiaomi. I have used the example of Xiaomi in several contexts of my discussion. For example, that Xiaomi entered, penetrated the markets with its online business model, where it was advertising online, and it was distributing its products online. And of course, later on, it has diversified into offline stores. So now see MI stores and all over. Now, in this particular initiative, Grow With Me initiative, Xiaomi has, of course, enabling its existing retail partners to set up and run more MI stores, but it is also encouraging, budding entrepreneurs from different backgrounds to set up the Xiaomi stores. And it has kept aside a substantial amount of money to fund these kind of initiatives. So this is corporate entrepreneurship of a different kind, wherein you are partnering with the entrepreneurs, as if it were, to grow fast in terms of the physical distribution of your products. Look at this kinetic India's model Zing, the scooty, wherein they have incorporated a mobile charger in the scooty. So, given the new generation mobility, who are also mobile savvy, there will be a need to charge the mobile phones. So how this idea comes from the employees and is articulated in a design for a new model of the vehicle. So all these ideas that you have seen, you can see on the screen, are indicative of the promotion of an entrepreneurial culture within the firm, where firms are encouraging people to come out with new ideas, and they are championing them, they are sponsoring them, and if possible, they are spinning off new ventures with the existing employees, maybe even with the outsiders, with a view to leveraging the innovation holy grail, right? So this is what the entrepreneurship and in terms of the fine differences within the between the terms. Entrepreneurship is intra-corporate entrepreneurship. So when entrepreneurship happens within the firm, it is called intrapreneurship. So how it happens is that organizations offer bonuses and allow access to the Slack variables. If you have done linear programming, you would have done the Slack variables. These are the underutilized resources of the firm. So if you, including time. So if you have seen that Rocket Singh movie, you would have seen, how this the protagonist of the film develops his own business by working in the with the firm, right? Where his ideas were not appreciated, right? So therefore, now rather than losing out such people to form competitive businesses, doesn't it make sense for the companies to encourage entrepreneurship within the firm? So that is the idea with which Pinchot introduced this particular concept of intra-corporate entrepreneurship. Okay, so the whole idea is, to convert the organizational reward systems and the management support system in such a manner that people are encouraged to think innovatively, suggest an experiment, and they are not penalized for making mistakes, because whenever you try something new, you are bound to make mistakes. You don't become successful in one go. So organization has to have that kind of a patience in sponsoring the people to keep trying a newer way of doing the things. Japanese companies do so by encouraging quality circles, within their firms, where people meet frequently to discuss the quality issues confronting their company, and think through the solutions, and experiment, and so on and so forth. Results you can see, the stories that I have narrated for Uber and Kinetic, etc. They all are examples how the ideas, for example, profit not only the individuals but also the company, right? So the companies have to incur the risk and have a tolerance for mistakes of the employees when it comes to intra-corporate entrepreneurship. It's a beautiful matrix capturing the new venture developments within the firm. And as you can see, the two important dimensions of entrepreneurship. I would suggest that you take and preserve a snapshot of this as well as this, because these are very important as far as the idea of entrepreneurship is concerned. So, the two important dimensions which are which are considered for formulating the entrepreneurship, strategy within the firm are strategic importance and operational relatedness. So, and as you can see that it's a 3x3 matrix throwing up 9 possible combinations in which you may vary from complete spin-off in the northeast to direct in the west, right? And in between there are various models through which the firm entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship may be encouraged, right? Because you will be taking up positions in the corporate sector, and the question is how to write your own entrepreneurship manifesto. Pinchot gave a beautiful manifesto of entrepreneurship that I will be reading I think probably as my last slide, although there's a lot to kind of discuss here, but at the last slide for this particular, the manifesto, I will call it as a, not commandments, which some author has said, I will call it as a personal manifesto of entrepreneuring as an employee. So start thinking like a business owner or a business manager straight away. And as I said, do anything regardless of your job description to make your project work. Build a network of people to help. Recall now Rocket Singh movie. Now how he uses the receptionist, he uses his friends, and gives them partnership. They were employees, but he gives them partnership in the business, and motivates them to perform. And he works underground as long as possible. And that is where, and ethics is very important. You know that he gave his entire business for just 1 rupee to his boss, right? When the clash of ethics, came alive. So therefore, think entrepreneurially, even if you are working for an organization. Now, that is the point at which probably it will be advisable to end this session. And of course, the people say there's no pain, no gain. And here, you see a beautiful relationship between the pains and the challenges and the goals and values. Pains give rise to challenges, and the challenges are overcome to achieve goals, and goals are motivated by values, right? So keep your values strong, and ensure that you find you wade through the organizational maze and puzzle to stay focused on your vision, and gain the organizational sponsorship for implementing your ideas. Let me see if there are any questions before we. Yeah, Google CEO saw Chrome as more than a browser, and startup culture, within the firms is indeed very, very fascinating. I'm so happy that you have been co-travelers and co-contributors in this knowledge session, and I look forward to meeting you on Wednesday for a wind-up session by taking up the last chapter of your syllabus. And I'll be therefore ending the session at this particular note of entrepreneurship. Controls, we are ending this session at this stage, please. Hello. Controls, can we end the session here, please? The controls, can we end the session here, please? Controls, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?